Alphacore #1 is a comic book packed with action, thrills, and even subtle bits of humor for great measure for your reading pleasure.
As I suspected, 32 flavors.
Alphacore #1 is the very first Rippaverse comic released not written by Eric July, but this time the legendary Chuck Dixon. You may have known him from classics such as Nightwing, The Simpsons, Bongo Comics, and even my favorite...
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane!
And then you have pencils handled by yet another ace of the arts, one Joe Bennett. The story is about a team of ex-eps who are supposed to be added muscle for when shit really hits the fan in good old Flores Park of Texas. As things go along, conflicts break out on what is the right thing to do, what's an overreach, should ex-eps have any say in the matter in all this, etc, etc. Some members you get an idea of what their feelings are on all this, while some still have an air of mystery revolving their positions. All stances on how to handle potential threats notwithstanding, Brian, Ingrid, and Braxwell unanimously agree on one thing, and that is keeping the city they help assist within the safest of hands. The villains of the story may look like ordinary citizens on the surface, but if you look the other way, you will completely miss their real intentions, as they are master manipulators who know how to play the game. And there is no one or no damn thing they will keep off limits to further their own goals, whatever they may be. Mr. Dixon, on the other hand, has a lot on his plate here, and like his many Bat books before him, that doesn't seem to faze him one damn bit, as he gives small glimpses of what the main and the supporting characters are like, as well as the surroundings of Flores Park, Texas are, from the bank to the news. Each Rippaverse comic continues to show more and more of the world these comics live in, and this is no exception to the rule. The pacing here is a speed rush of explosions, setups, payoffs, tragedies, and even a few on-the-nose one-liners that make fans of movies like Red Heat and Invasion USA soak their Chuck Norris-sized jeans. Then there is Joe's art. Thanks to the wonderful variations of colors and inks, Joe's work has shades of the cleaner, statuesque imagery from the Immortal Hulk, as well as his doses of rougher and grittier looking pencils and ink that bring guys like Derek Robertson to mind. And that was the part that you were asking yourself, well, Nick, how does it stand up to the previous ISOM books in the Rippaverse? How does it stand up to some of the Chuck Dixon works? What are your thoughts on the actual book overall now that you get a simple idea of what the story is all about? If you are enjoying what you are seeing in ISOM, then you will find much to enjoy here. And if you weren't a fan before, well then, hopefully this will be the comic book that speaks to you. It's bright, heroic, and shimmering with great villains, much like its predecessors, but has enough of its own ingredients to stand on its own 2 feet. If you were that guy that was worried that this would end up being like a big Green Lantern ripoff, well, you couldn't be any more further from the truth, as this comic book reminds me of a bit of a Power take on S.H.I.E.L.D., and even the first Marvel Comics Civil War comes to mind in terms of some of the questions that it asks. So is it worth buying if you are a Rippaverse fan? Is it worth buying if you're a Chuck Dixon fan? Is it worth buying if you're a comic book fan in general? Yes, yes, and fuck yes. Now we're going to go into a little bit of spoiler territory. I don't want to go into too much, so I'm going to keep it very light. So if you are spoiler sensitive, you may want to hop out of this video now. But if you're one of those guys who wants to know and doesn't care, and you just want to hear it anyways, or if you're one of those guys who wants to be the what's your favorite part guy because you just have to have that answer, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a brief, kind of vague idea of what my favorite part is, because there are some people who should just read this and see how it plays out. But my personal favorite part was the plan of the villains. The way they laid it out, how they executed, and how everything unfolded and played out, and what the outcome of it at the end was. That was my favorite part, because it really showed you that, once again, like Darren Fontano and ISOM, we got these 2 other villains that are just as effective, but for very different reasons. That was my personal favorite part. So why don't you leave in the comments what your favorite part is, and then after that, you can stop watching this video, go order your copy of Alphacore #1, and lay down your souls to the gods rock and roll.
Should I jump off the tallest building in the world? Should I lay on the lawn and let him run over me with lawnmowers? Should I go to Africa and let him trample me with raging elephants?